Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Esoteric Wellness blog. I am your host, Coach Kyle. So today I want to talk about the power of stillness. So what do I mean by stillness? What I mean by that is this experience that we can all create within ourselves by tuning out the external environment, closing our eyes, going within ourselves, and just being still, being present in the moment, being present with ourselves, with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our bodily sensations, and just being still, being quiet. And this is often called like mindfulness, meditation. I mean, those are all talking about the same thing, but it can look like a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be one specific form of practice. Now, something about me is I like to research different cultures and traditions around the world and throughout time. And I like to compare all these and look for similarities. And when you do this, one of the most common similarities you see is the reverence, the sacredness within which this experience of stillness that I'm talking about is held. Whether you're looking at it from a spiritual lens, a religious lens, a shamanic lens, this experience was sacred in so many ways. It has been and is our connection to the divine, to God, to ourselves, our higher selves, the universe, whatever words you want to use to describe it. It is how we connect with something very much deeper within our own humanity that I don't know that we fully understand, but it is a basic human need in many ways. There's something special about that. There's something important about that. And this is something that we've known as human beings for a long, long time. While over time and around the world, we have disagreed about what it means, we all agree that it's important. This matters, and we need to be paying attention to it. So, this is something that modern day, scientifically speaking, has been researched quite a bit. And there's a lot of evidence to say that this is beneficial to our health in more ways than one. I mean, at the very least, creating this experience of stillness, being present with ourselves, has been shown to improve the experience of so many different conditions and diseases. And while by itself it may not cure those things, it makes us feel better. And that's pretty amazing. And yeah, we might say, oh, it's placebo, and I'm sure that's part of it. But I know, for example, there was a recent study looking at the use of meditation to improve pain, something I work with quite often. But they proved, looking at specific circuitry in the brain that was using, yes, placebo is part of it, but meditation is also doing something separate and unique in addition to placebo, which was interesting. But anyway, beyond that too, it puts us in a state of being in which our body and our mind can take care of itself. I mean, on the body side, creating that experience of stillness, gets us out of fight or flight or the sympathetic nervous system. When we're in fight or flight, secondary processes in our body get turned off or diminished. We're diverting energy elsewhere in preparation to act to some threat or danger. So things like healing, digestion, hormone management, all these processes in the body that are necessary for long-term health, but in the short term can be turned off or ignored for a while and we'll still get by. But long term, that can cause a lot of problems. So creating these moments of stillness allow us to get out of fight or flight, get into the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. And it gives our body an opportunity to take care of itself, to do what it needs to do, heal itself, fully digest our food, absorb all those nutrients, process toxins through the body. Manage all these processes always needing to be done, but can often be ignored if we're spending a lot of our time in fight or flight. So, in that way, creating these moments of stillness is healing, quite literally. And along with that, looking at the mind, creating these moments of stillness allows a state of being where we can process emotions, we can process our thoughts. And I know many times I hear people say when they start trying to make this a practice at first, they're like, every time I sit down and close my eyes, all this stuff starts coming up. Start feeling all these emotions. I start having all these thoughts. I can't do this. I'm doing it wrong. And I have to reassure them, like, no, that's great. You're doing it right. This is all stuff that needs to be processed. And now that you're giving it a chance, it's all coming up at once. And it's going to take some time to work through that. But that's good. That's good. That's stuff that needs to come up, needs to come out, needs to be processed and worked through. But if you don't give it an opportunity, it just stays under the surface, festering and causing other problems for us. So this experience of stillness is a big part of healing in that way too. And along with this, I think in a big way, this is ultimately how we pull ourselves out of being reactive. It's very easy, and we all do it, myself included. We get stuck in just this reactive state of being where we're just dealing with all the crap flying at us day after day. We're just going through the motions. We're going through the routines. We're operating mostly off automatic programming in our brain, habitual habits of behavior, thought, and emotion. And something I bring up this stillness as something that's really, really helpful in the process of change. So often because it's the ultimate way of pulling yourself out of that reactiveness and into a state where you can very consciously and with intention choose your path. Choose how you want to think, choose how you want to feel, choose how you want to behave. So we can pull ourselves out of that well-worn path that we developed over time through our experiences and start to carve a new path. Start to go more with more intention where we want to go instead of following the path of least resistance. But that stillness is needed to pull yourself out of that state. And yeah, you're going to fall back into that well-worn path. That's how change works. But creating the skill of being able to be in the stillness, pull ourselves out a well-worn path and put us on the path we want to be on. It makes change so much easier. So much easier because you're creating a state of being where you can act with intention and do what you want to do. Another amazing thing about this is yes, it is so, so powerful and so important, but it's also something that everyone has access to. It's free. It costs nothing. You don't need any resources for it. You have everything you need all the time. Yes, we're all busy. We have things to do, of course. We can't be in this state all the time. But it doesn't take that. Even if you can be in moments of stillness for only short duration, once or twice a day, that's enough to make a big difference. It really is. So it doesn't take hours of practice. If you can close your eyes and be present within yourself for a minute, you can create a pretty big shift in how you feel and how you behave, how you think. 30 seconds. Amazing. We can all find that short of a duration of time throughout our day. And if you can find longer periods of time for that, even better. Additionally, I'll add that in this experience of stillness is a huge creative power, creative ability. I know myself personally in my own practice with this, and I would wager that other people who practice this on a regular basis would also agree that once you are able to tune out all the external stimuli and go within and listen, things start to bubble to the surface. Things pop in your head. I don't know how many times I've been sitting in stillness and meditation or some other practice, and I suddenly get an idea, seemingly comes out of nowhere, or I get an insight or a solution to a problem I've been faced with, or some creative inspiration. So there's a lot of creative power in stillness in that way. And also what we already talked about, and that it pulls us out of that reactive state and allows us to choose our path from which we can create whatever we want. So I don't think this is simply just about achieving better mental and physical health, but it's also a very powerful way in which we can achieve a better version of ourselves, and we can achieve that in life that we want to accomplish. That we can realize what we can accomplish or what we're meant to accomplish if you believe in such a thing. So, my challenge to you in the coming weeks, especially with the holidays coming up, a lot of stress that we're all enduring, create little moments of stillness in your day. Close your eyes, go within yourself, just be present, just be, just be. And see what that experience yields for you. See what you discover. See what comes up. I'm willing to bet if you give it a try, you might be surprised at how much of a difference it can make for you. So, if you made it to this point in today's episode, some of you might be wondering, what the heck am I talking about? What is this experience of stillness you're trying to explain? So, I thought I would end this episode with a short guided practice that might allow some of the beginners out there who have no familiarity with this an opportunity to experience it, to create that experience of stillness for themselves. So we'll do a very basic, very short practice. Again, this is something with an infinite number of possibilities and styles and approaches. So this is not the end all be all by any means. This is just a very basic introductory practice. And again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but if you try this and you find it difficult, it's not an indication that you're doing it wrong. It's an indication that it's working, that you're giving your mind and body an opportunity to let things go, to let things out, to process. And if you're not in the routine habit of doing so, what comes up might be a lot at once, and it might be a little bit overwhelming. It might feel uncomfortable. And again, that's okay. That's a good sign. That's a good thing. Welcome that. Be okay with being uncomfortable in that way for a short time. With continued practice, that level of discomfort will diminish because the quantity of stuff coming up will go down as you start to work through that. So, again, be patient with yourself. Have a beginner's mindset. I know we talked about that on here before as well. So, let's just jump into it. Start by just closing our eyes. Just go within, shut out, tune out the external environment. Let's just start by taking a deep breath in through the nose, a deep, full breath into the belly and the chest, and hold it for a few moments, and then let that air out through your mouth like you're breathing out of a straw. A long, steady, slow exhale, a full exhale, completely empty those lungs. And then take another deep breath in through the nose. Hold it a moment or two. Slowly let it out of your mouth. And repeat that one more time. At the end of that last exhale, just let your breathing return to normal. We've just activated your parasympathetic nervous system by breathing in that way, allowing ourselves to calm down, to relax, to be still. So check in with your comfort in your body if you need to make any adjustments, any wiggles you need to get out. Go ahead, take care of that. And just bring your awareness, your attention, once you feel settled in, to your breath. How the process of breathing is actually a complex set of movements, a complex set of sensations. Just bring some curiosity to that. Where's this movement happening in your body? What sensations does that create? What's the quality of that breath? The texture of it? And as you're bringing your awareness to your breath, you're inevitably going to have thoughts pop in. You're going to get distracted. Your attention is going to be drawn elsewhere. That's okay. It's going to happen. And you'll eventually catch yourself. Just come back to the breath. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath. We're not upset that we lost our focus. This is the practice. And you could look at these thoughts coming in and going out with some curiosity as well, as if they were leaves floating on the surface of a stream. Each one is unique. Some are beautiful, some are ugly, some are weird, some are scary. Some of them grab and hold our attention longer than others. That's okay. Just leaves floating by within our awareness. Use that breath as an anchoring point you can always come back to when a particular thought pulls us away. So we'll end our practice by just taking both of your hands, placing them one over the other over your heart. Take a moment to show yourself some gratitude. Thank yourself for taking this time to be present, to be still, because you deserve it. You're important enough to make time for. Let a smile come across your face and just experience that feeling of gratitude for a moment. Let it elevate your mood. You are important. You matter. You're worth the time and attention for a short moment of stillness. And lastly, we'll just take one more deep breath. Just like before, slow exhale through the mouth. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and return to your day. So I hope that demonstrates to those of you that weren't quite clear what this experience of stillness kind of looks like. And again, this is just one way to achieve it. There are infinite number of other ways. But I thank you for spending time with me today, for practicing with me today. And I hope you, if you did practice with me, that brought you some amount of relief, uh, improved your day in some way. So thank you for tuning in and listening. And as always, you are beautiful, you are loved. Until next time.